Welcome back to the Detailing Bay podcast. So we've done an episode like this before, debunking myths.
Yeah.
And we've touched on paint correction before. But let's just dive in again because there's a few more bits that we didn't pick up. So, firstly, paint depth gauges.
Yeah.
Tell me more about them. I know nothing about paint depth gauges.
So the most accessible ones, the ones you'll see which are cheaper, which will measure an overall depth. And if you're under like £1,500 shopping for a paint depth gauge, then it's more than likely it is only going to be doing one depth, which is the overall reading of everything it's measuring. So you're getting the base in there, you're getting the clear, the primer, absolutely everything. So it does give you an indication. Some people say it's no help at all because it can only monitor how much you're taking away, but you need to work out how much you're starting with. So
don't you need to, sorry to interrupt, don't you need to just know how thick the clear is? Because that's the point where you've ruined your paint.
Exactly, that's what you need to know. But at this point, it's doing an overall measurement, so it's adding them all together. So you don't know which one, which is which. So the best way of going around it and a walk around for it is to find somewhere like a door shut, somewhere where it's you know it's going to be its thinnest. So you measure there, and say for instance the panel you're doing the bonnet, you measure that, and it comes up 140 microns. You then go and measure like a door shut, and that's coming in at 120 microns, where it's going to be thinner. The rule of thumb there is now you've got a slight guide of where you can work with. Now, when you're machining, and this is kind of another myth debunked really, is people think, as soon as you go on there with even an aggressive compound with a dual action, you're going to be taking chunks away. It's still such a slow gradual. To get like anything between 1 and 3 microns of correction takes a little bit of work. Yeah. It's not something that you're just going to put pad onto the panel and suddenly it's going to happen.
No, even if you take like a 3000 Trizac and wet sand it still takes a bit of getting through, does lacquer, doesn't it? So with a dual action and a compound and a pad, yeah, you're going to have to be
they're all micro abrasives to a degree, so it's a very, very gradual cut. It's not like you put in 80 grit on there or something, which is going to take chunks away. But with paint depth gauge, you can go the other way, Positech being one of them. So they do some really single layer measurements, which are insanely accurate. That's the other part, is like how accurate they are. Your cheaper ones tend to be, you've got to give them a plus or minus 5 micron kind of. The dearer you go on a single layer one, like the Positech ones, they get more accurate, but it's still only doing.
And what do you have to pay? What budget do you need for one of them?
You're looking at around 600 upwards. And if budget will allow, like Positech do, like Positech 200, that can do multi-layer.
Right.
And now you're breaking down. I think it can do up to 3 layers, that. So ideal for cars. And then you can actually see exactly how much clear you're dealing with.
So at that point, you can probably tell, let's say you've had a body repair, a really good quality repair, but that wing has been painted from a different body shop to where it was manufactured. That tool will allow you to tell the difference.
It depends on the prep. If they've just keyed and gone over, then even you'd have to go even dearer because you need more layers to be broke down, basically. Because the 200 will only do 3 layers. But if you imagine you've got the original 3 layers and now someone's keyed it, so they maybe sanded it back, but then they've gone over it again. They've done primer, base, and then clear again. There's too many coats on there for it to, like aftermarket stuff. It is always really, really tough, and you need to just be a bit more gentle. And that's the only time where you just got to really accept, that there is a slight more risk. It's harder to know aftermarket paint. It's not uniform. It can differ in depths. It's not been painted in the same manner as it was on the production line, which poses a risk as well. So it's it can be a tough one. If the paint, if the car's been fully like nut and bolt restore, it's been dipped and it's being sprayed in the same order a production line car would, then you would be absolutely fine. But that's down to if you know the history of it or not and what's happened with it.
So does the average man on the drive need to worry about paint depth when they're breaking out the DA and doing some paint correction? Is it worth them investing? What would you tell them? Quick answer. Is it worth investing in the...
I think it depends on the person. I think whenever using any form of abrasive on paintwork, as long as you're comfortable accepting there's that slight degree of risk, it is destructive. You are taking away clear, not at a fast rate, but there'll be a lot of people that have been there where they've gone onto a corner and they have managed to go through where it will sit slightly thinner as well. It's just about, if you're really nervous and you think, so you can get like a next diag and follow, overall measurement and do like the way of measuring the door shut and the bonnet. You can get them for around £60 and it can put you at ease. It can give you a good indicator as well of how much you're actually cutting. So it's all down to the person. Obviously, the more like you can understand about the paint, the better. That'll also give you a good reading to let you know if it's aftermarket paint or not.
Right, that's an interesting point though, that, because are you buying one of these paint depth gauges because you're a nervous detailer or because you're a more professional detailer?
Works for both. They're great for understanding paint where there could be fillers, smart repairs. It'll pick them up straight away. The more you do cars in a professional environment, the more you get to know the paint types, what you're expecting on average for, a Volkswagen, a Porsche, and just in general, whereabouts it should sit for it be, in that range of, say, between 140 and 200 microns overall reading for factory paint. So it's very quick, nice, comforting way for a detailer to go around and go, everything's looking good. When they're going for the cut, it can also give them a good guide if they're measuring that cut level to where they get correction and they see they've removed 2 to 3 microns. They know they've got that difference. So when they go to the next panel, they can monitor it. The more you go around it, the more measurements, it's giving you more and more back. And some of them, like the next Diag, like they do like a Pro one, and that logs everything as well. And almost does like a wireframe of your car and where you've measured.
Wow.
And gives you all the readings, and you have befores and afters. And
dare I ask how much you need in your budget for one of them?
They're around about £170.
Well, that's not bad.
It's not bad because it works through the app on your phone.
Right.
So the actual measurement device has a Bluetooth sender receiver in it, and then all the software sits on your phone on an app.
Now, even I want one of them. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right, moving on to the next one, filler or killer. So you've got imperfections, swirl marks. Do you glaze over it with fillers via a glaze, or do you do the paint correction the hard way and get it sorted?
Depends what you want and what you're going to be doing afterwards. Your protection, your last step product will determine where you can go. And then like, say for instance, you're going to go with an old school traditional filler, let's say Poor Boy's Black Hole. You're not going to follow up them with a ceramic coating. Them two are just not compatible. But some manufacturers are bringing out now almost filler-esque style glazes that are designed with ceramic coatings in mind. You got to leave them 24 hours and you do get quite considerable shrinkage from them, but you can then go straight over them. And that idea of, hiding some of the swirls.
Thing is with paint correction, let's say you've done all your paint correction, it looks perfect. If it's an everyday daily driver, if it's parked outside, if it's, it's getting the odd scuff driving down a country lane, or someone's caught it with a bag as they're walking past in the supermarket, it's going to get re-scuffed. And you can't correct forever, can you? Because eventually you're going to run out of clear coat.
No,
there are times where maybe the car looks pretty mint, but you've just got a few swirls, a few little things that'd look a lot better just by filling in those highs.
Yeah, well, that again is up to the person. So, for instance, if you're a wax fan, you'll know already waxes do a brilliant job of filling, coupled with a good filler glaze, and you've got a match made in heaven. You inspect that paint closely, and it's still going to look sorry for itself, but it does help hide the appearance of them. What you won't get is, as much as you think you will, you're not going to get that lifting gloss like you would by removing them, because it's affecting how light's bouncing back off it. Swirls are ugly, so the way light bounces off a swirl, it's how it would off perfectly corrected paint. The flatter the surface, the better. The deeper the gloss.
Yeah, and that's effectively what they're doing, isn't it? A glaze that substrate, it's taking away those highs.
Yeah, it's trying to level it off a little bit.
You're never going to achieve that as well as...
No, because it's all artificial. So the flattening is artificial. So, you're just not getting as much from it. But they do serve a purpose, and I think we've all done it.
Yeah, they can be a bit addictive to use because they're so easy. There's no buffing off elbow grease required, is there? Just wipe on, pretty much wipe off. And
but all that hard work, slowly as the days go by, is undoing itself.
It's gone within a few weeks. So show season, or when you've washed, dried it, you haven't got the time for a full machine polish. You might even, but if you've got a bottle of Black Hole there, it's a bit tempting, isn't it? Just to bring it out
100%. Yeah. Or if you're not going to do anything other than you're going to put a wax on, you think, well, I'll just use one anyway because it's bringing a good amount of benefits, and then you're going to go with a wax as well, which obviously sits thicker, so that's going to level it even more. So there is definitely a definitely a place for it, but it purely depends on the person. There's no right or wrong. It's what you're happy with. Someone else might judge and go, oh, I wouldn't have done that, but that's them. It's personal.
It's fair enough. Next one on the list, rotary versus DA. Is rotary more difficult to learn than DA?
I'm going to say yes on that one. Purely, there's more to understand with rotary. There's a rotary is far better tool ultimately, if you like. It's more versatile, smoother, and it can achieve great correction as it can fantastic finishes. But there's so many more technique that you need to pick up with a rotary, and you can have a negative impact with a rotary. You've done your corrective side, you've got rid of your swirls, and then someone's looking, but I've made it worse now. I've got this hologram in. So there's all that side of things. A dual action is going to go one or two ways usually. You're either going to have a positive impact on the paint or you're going to have done nothing. A rotary can take you backwards or make you feel like you're going backwards. And they do feel less planted, if you like. A rotary wants to travel a little bit. There's definitely more to learn with combinations with a rotary.
Feedback from it, yeah.
But it is, between the two, rotary's more versatile, but a lot harder to learn.
If you spent 12 months on one compared to the other, at the end of it, which machine makes you a better corrector?
Well, it's down to the person. It depends how they take to it and the technique. I mean, I've seen some amazing work with just dual actions. I've seen insanely good work with rotary. I always favour rotary ultimately just for how versatile it is. You can edge, you can use extensions. There's no limitations with rotary. It's a very simple method, but you could get to the point where you've got them side by side. Someone who's just taken to DA and loves it, someone else with rotary, and see where you get. But rotary would, in my opinion, usually saves you time.
Well, if all you're used to is a rotary, is there any argument to ever switch to DA?
So if you're doing it and you've got your own cars and it works, then the system works. But when you're a professional, sometimes there may be temperamental paints. You're trying to find a system that works. Sometimes dual action is a nice approach to try and mix things up a little bit. So it does have the place as well.
Next one on the list, paint swell. Can you
it's getting more and more. I mean, it's obviously always existed, but it's getting more and more popular. Hearing more and more people talk about it. And basically paint swell happens when as simple as you're getting the paint hot, and while that happens, it basically, it swells up. So you'll see people where they've machined an area, they've said, oh, that's corrected, I'm happy with that. And they'll say, oh, the swells will come back in the morning. Because in reality, what's happened is just heated the paint to a temperature where it's just temporarily swollen and overnight cooled off and gone back to how it was before. Right. This can happen in the sun as well. And in certain areas, you can, to a degree, some swirls almost hide temporarily if the panel gets warm enough, but they will return back once it cools down again. And there's the arguments like one saying, oh, this is why rotary is better than DA or DA is better than rotary because one creates less heat than the other. They're both capable of building substantial amount of heat to cause swelling. It's all about technique and keeping pads cool. In my experience, if one was going to be more prone to doing it than the other, I'd pick rotary. It's simple. It's friction. The way rotary works, you can heat a panel a hell of a lot quicker. With a rotary than you can a DA, but it's something to always be mindful of that, paint swell can happen to anyone, and how to go about if that happens is a good process. Just keep your pads as cool, keep your panels cool as possible. It's getting a bit warm, let it cool, let it rest.
You still have to spray it. Are those days gone, like spraying water on to keep it lubed and keep it cool? That's
gone. That was like your old days when they're like, it was almost like it was suspended in chalk. It was like, it was disgusting. Yeah, you used to get the old school
people using splashing it all.
Single speed rotary, dip it head in bucket and then go back on. Yeah, very, very old school. And no,
so when you're saying keep the panel cool, just be conscious of the speed.
Just be conscious. Keep using the back of your hand when you've polished an area. Get your back of the hand on there. It's going to feel slightly warm, but you don't want it, if it's suddenly like almost burning you, or like, it just takes you by surprise, then it probably is just getting a little bit too warm. So just keep it down and reduce the risk of swelling.
So pads, I've got a couple on pads.
Yeah.
Do you need 20 pads to do a car?
No. You could do a car with one pad if you're following the correct method of cleaning it out, but it can make your pads last longer if you do use multiple pads. You will see people that will use pad per panel. If in a professional environment, that may pay off because you're not cleaning the pads. You can clean it all later, you can clean them all together. But if you're at home, man on the drive, a couple of the same pad It's usually more than enough. You can alternate them panel to panel, so not getting overly loaded. You're cleaning them less. They're staying nice and cool, so they last that little bit longer. More than that is just you're watching people that are working. You don't know their processes. Like some people, like I said, will have 10 cutting pads, for instance, because when that pad's a bit loaded and done that small area, that's put to one side and it's not used again throughout the entire detail now. A fresh one's put on, and then they're washed in bulk afterwards. So
sounds sensible, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. And it speeds up their process. You know, like time's money with detailing. It is very labour intensive. So you need to speed that process up. So yeah, just alternate pads in that manner makes perfect sense. But when you're man on the drive, you know, you just want to do your car at, budget friendly, and you're suddenly looking at £200 worth of pads. And
it's a bit of overkill at that level.
100%.
Yeah. Next one, pad related. Can you use different pads with different compounds, manufacturers, brands wise? Yeah, absolutely. The manufacturer's always going to develop their compounds around their pads. They'll want you to go with them. And it's not always a bad thing. The cut level may have been tailored perfectly to get the most out of it, but it doesn't mean they're incompatible. It just means you may change the outcome slightly. It may cut a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but I'm a big fan of mixing and matching and having a play around. You've got a brilliant pad that you love, and then you're changing compounds for another manufacturer, and you're getting that perfect result that you want. So it is easy to follow, like a Menzerna, heavy cut 400 with their heavy cut pad. It, worked really, really well. But heavy cut 400 on an Orange X Logic pad gives really good results. It's weird because they're two very different products, and I don't think like a company that specialises in everything is, I don't know if that's real compared to someone like Lake Country who just do pads, specialise in pads. So in my head, I'd just trust that supplier more, and then chemical manufacturer more on the chemical front.
But so you'd put Menzerna with Lake Country, for instance?
Yeah, because I feel like that's Menzerna's a difficult one because their pads are quite popular as well, aren't they?
Their pads are manufactured on licence by...
So that's a bit of an odd one, but...
Yeah, and there will have been a lot of thought going through it, and this is why companies like Menzerna do it, because they've developed them and they're going out there saying these are the results you're going to get. They're obviously going to differ slightly depending on the paint type, but they can kind of give it a more accurate cut and gloss level if it's been coupled with a pad as well, because you're controlling a little bit more of it. But that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong by mixing and matching. You'll have some fantastic combos out there. One of them is the Lake Country HDO microfiber cutting with heavy cut 400. It's a beautiful little combo. Works really, really well. So have a play around. It makes life easier. If you stick to the same pad manufacturer as the compounds, but it's not something not going to work.
Yeah,
you're just going to change the outcome slightly.
Don't be scared of it. In fact, have a play, and you never know. You might come across a killer combo,
and get it out there because people love that.
Yeah, get it on a forum, and all of a sudden you started a new trend off.
Scholl S20 and the green X Logic,
exactly.
105 205 with the white and the orange X Logic. They were all like accidental combos that just worked.
Fair enough. Right, well, that probably wraps this debunked episode up. If you've got any more questions, listeners out there, then make sure you get over to our YouTube channel. You can comment on videos and we'll pick up those questions and answer them next time. So, yeah, thanks very much for listening and see you on the next one.